Okay, people, what's good? V&V Podcast, episode 38. Me, Rory Spooner, and James Veck back again. There's a lot of natural light behind us, so please bear with us.
Yeah,
we can't afford lighting just yet. But in terms of the podcast itself, sorry guys, we missed last week. Vecky was abroad, repping V&V in Germany and Holland.
Indeed.
Explain to the people, bro, about your little trip, because we had a slight hiatus, as I say, because Vecky was off watching. Who do you watch?
Well, we got there on the Thursday. Just had a few casual beers on the Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And then Friday, then we went out to watch FC Twente versus Telstar. For those of you who don't know, who may think FC Twente is still in the first Dutch division.
Is it the Eredivisie, I believe it's pronounced?
Yes, something like that. Yeah. I haven't quite got my tongue around that one yet, but I think it is the Eredivisie, isn't it, or whatever it is.
Yeah, something like that.
But FC Twente in the second division, they're top. They look like they're going to get promoted back into the big time. And one Matt Smith as well, who's currently
shout out to Matt Smith, yeah.
Big shout out to Matt Smith, because we met him as well.
Is he a cool guy?
He's a cool guy.
He lived up to expectation.
He did. He is obviously just signed a new contract with ManCity. I think it's a 4 or 5 year deal.
What position does he play?
It's centre midfield.
Does he? And he's Welsh?
He is Welsh.
There you have it,
saying he could be the next Joe Allen.
Terrific with me, yeah, great.
Come on the other day in the friendly and he was very, very good. But he was actually suspended for this fixture, unfortunately. So Reece actually dropped him a message, or dropped him a tweet. We had a photo of us all.
Go on, Reece, boy.
We're in our Welsh jerseys, and Reece tweeted him a photo saying, "We've come out to support Matt Smith for FC Twente," and he got back and said, "I'm suspended." So that foiled our plan a little bit, but he said, if you come by the main reception after the game, I'll meet you, sign some stuff. And he did, true to his word. It's the first time I've actually ever gone to meet a player that's younger than myself.
How old is he?
18.
He's 18, is he?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's
I didn't think at the time, because I've always gone to see a player and he's older than you, because I was in my teens. And we were waiting in the main reception. We said to the people standing by the doors, we're like, "Is Matt Smith coming out? Is Matt Smith coming out?" And they were like, "Yeah, be here now." And so we're waiting, and all of a sudden, nothing. And then this kid just comes up behind us, and I mean, this kid comes up behind us. He wasn't dressed in like a match suit or anything like that. He just wasn't in the game. And he came up to us, he went, "All right, boys," and we just went, "All right." And one guy goes, "It's Matt Smith, it's Matt Smith." Like, honestly. And we're like, "Matt, we're so sorry. We're so sorry."
We were expecting someone else.
I don't know what we were expecting, him to come out in like a big FC Twente suit with a big sign saying, "I'm Matt Smith," or whatever. Christ. But we caught him, we were like, "Oh, fuck, it's Matt Smith." So then, and he was literally, by your height, he was hardly tall, and he was in just a black
average
coat.
height.
It's average height. Yeah, it's not as tall as Aaron Ramsey, though, is it?
No, Aaron Ramsey.
Because he's a lot taller.
When I saw Aaron Ramsey at Cardiff train station, Aaron Ramsey, to me, was about 6'2". Now, we Googled Ramsey. What was his height?
Was it 5'8"?
They said it, bro. Google is wrong. I'm sure Google said he's like 5'9", right? He isn't 5'9", bro. I'm telling you now, he's not. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, maybe he just had big shoes on,
Well, he may have done. Adidas Predators on.
Something like that. But no, shout out to Matt Smith.
Shout out.
He gave up his time. He didn't have to. He had photos with us. He signed some things for us and actually spent some time having a conversation with us. Really down to earth kid as well. So hopefully that continues with him.
That's a hell of a life to live by, innit? To just be 18 and living in Holland playing football. That's insane.
Yeah, but to be fair, he's trusted his ability and that he can get somewhere at City because he signed a new deal with them.
Money was probably good though.
Money was probably good, yeah. But he's loved it there as well. We asked the locals, because I'll come on to the whole German sort of football culture in a second, but we did catch a train over to Holland for this game, and we asked the FC Twente fans what they thought of Matt Smith, and they absolutely love him. They said 18 years old, he's so mature, and he's actually a big part of their team, even though, I don't know how long he's staying there for. He's on loan currently. He could go back at the end of the season, but if they get promoted, he's been a big part of what that is and how to get them back into the league. We watched them against Telstar. FC Twente won 1-0.
Fair play, yeah, good on them.
So 3 points for them. And then we got the train back over to Germany. We stayed in Essen, and on the Saturday then we watched a game called Rot-Weiss Essen, which is a team in Essen, and they played Borussia Dortmund under 23s.
There you have it, people.
Is in the Regional West division of the Bundesliga.
Okay.
There's a lot of like subdivisions. So you got the Bundesliga, and you got 1 and 2, and there's like sub ones: West, South, North, East.
Okay,
like
got you. Okay.
When I say Borussia Dortmund under 23s, it's also called Borussia Dortmund seconds. Like in like
reserves.
Yeah, like in Spain, I think it's Segunda second division. Real Madrid, seconds, Bayern Munich seconds, that type of thing. And the fans they were brilliant. I'll come on to that in a second. But the Borussia Dortmund seconds team on the day, there was no names in it because they were playing themselves, the first team. Yeah. In just a couple of hours later.
Still a good experience.
Great experience, but a couple of fans said that they've seen Kagawa down there last season. Before he went to Besiktas. But no, that game wasn't a great game. It finished 0-0.
It's more the experience you're there for, right? Yeah.
But there was maybe, let's say like 2,000 or 3,000 people, or maybe a couple of thousand more. But the actual atmosphere of the game was insane. And I'll come on to the third game in a second, which was the best.
I can well imagine those German ultras, bro, with a few drinks in them.
Oh, I mean, I was saying to you went to watch the Swans versus Rotherham.
Yeah,
right?
I went to watch Swans Rotherham. I'll just segue into that quickly. Sorry to cut you off, bro. I went to watch Swansea Rotherham, and you can give me a comparison now of obviously what you've done and what you haven't done. I went to watch Swansea Rotherham on the weekend. 2 tickets was £60 plus a booking fee, and then with food and drink that was another maybe 20 quid on top. So you're looking at the best part of £85 to go watch a championship game for 2 people. It's an awful lot of money, especially for people who do that every week. And then obviously you go up a level. You look at fans of Manchester United and Arsenal, where they consistently travel away, be it in Europe or all around the country. I often wonder how people do it. I really do.
It's a lot of money, and
it's a vice. Hence why we have Victory and Vices.
You compare that to the prices that we paid in Holland and Germany, which I'll cover in just a second. Yeah. But you made a really interesting point about how the fans in sort of maybe in the Swans game and other championship teams, and even in the Premier League as well, they only make a noise when something happens. Yeah. So rather than just cheering all game, creating an atmosphere for the players and trying to give them a platform to do something, they only tend to cheer and shout and sing when a goal has been scored or something's building or there's a chance. In Germany and in Holland, that is not the case. In the Rot-Weiss Essen game, they were singing and chanting and singing songs when nothing was happening. It was one of the dullest, dreariest games of football that I've ever seen. The best
atmosphere.
And that's the 6th game I've watched in Germany, or 5th rather, sorry, one in Holland. And that's the only bad game I've watched. And to actually see a game of football that was so poor and so just had no quality in it, and all the fans kept doing was singing songs about the players all game. Match tickets, in terms of the cost, it was €9 to watch Rot-Weiss Essen.
You get what you pay for, so to speak. To
watch FC20, which they've been in the Champions League, I believe.
A relatively big side,
big side, massive stadium, big club. Yes, they're in the second division, but should be going back up. That was €12.
That's nothing. What's that? That's about a tenner.
About a tenner.
Yeah, tenner. It's good. Very competitive.
And then on the third day, we went to watch VfL Bochum versus Fürth, which is the equivalent of a championship game. I think the attendance was about 16,000.
It's a good attendance.
Best atmosphere I've ever witnessed in a football match.
Yeah.
Obviously,
incredible.
I've been to watch Wales rugby in the Millennium Stadium. That's it's a different kettle of fish. That's 80,000 people. You can't compare that. But going down, I've watched a game in the Cardiff City Stadium, Liberty Stadium, and this VfL Bochum atmosphere was absolutely different gravy. I put a lot of stories on my Instagram. On my Facebook. Me and the boys, me, Reece, Sean, we were all stood next to each other, and we just looking at each other with like goosebumps. The songs they were singing, and they did not stop. And they went 1-0 down, came back to 1-1, went 2-1 down, came back to 2-1, and they got the win in the 92nd minute.
Then it went off.
The fans were going mental. They were going off all game. And at the end then, they came on, they clapped the fans, Incredible. They stayed there for ages. And that one was, that was also €12.
That's incredible.
And last year we went to Borussia Dortmund, and that was €18.
To me now, football in this country, right, is so money orientated that a little bit of passion has been taken out of it.
Yeah.
And I feel culturally as well, we are very different to European fans. I was saying to Vecky before we came on that I remember when Swansea played in the Europa League, I think it was St. Gallen, they came to Swansea and they completely took over.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain. You've seen the film 300, the Spartan Warriors, when they marched together.
Yeah.
It was a bit like that. All their fans were marching through the city centre. I think they were green and white, if I remember. I can't remember correctly. But the way they just sort of took over the town centre and all stuck together and marched and sung, and the colour, it was incredible. And I just remember thinking to myself, British fans aren't like that at all. We're all quite spread out. Everything's very sporadic. Everyone sort of meets at the ground. It's very reserved. Yeah. It's not as organised. And when I went to watch Swansea Rotherham on the weekend, there's almost like an expectancy. And I'm probably guilty of it as well, right? As a lot of people. You kind of just sit there like this and you're like, okay, do something for me then. Yeah. And there's not a lot of atmosphere. And again, that's not, this Swansea City in particular. That's how it is at a lot of grounds, especially going to the bigger grounds. A lot of Premier League teams struggle to generate an atmosphere. And there's a few Swansea City fans in the East Stand who, they try their hardest, and salute to them because they do a very good job as well. But culturally we're very different, and we have an expectancy where we're sort of reactive and not proactive. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We sort of react to things.
The picture I get from obviously been to quite a few games now in German football and one in Holland is that they price things in a way so that I feel like the right fans come into the stadiums as well, because I was speaking to the year I went previous, this year I was speaking to a Bayer Leverkusen fan because they were playing Dortmund that day, and he asked me how much a season ticket was in the Premier League for a big club. And I said, for Arsenal, it's about £1,000, isn't it? About £1,100 it can be.
I think it's more than that.
Yeah, if not more.
It's probably more.
But on average,
Yeah.
And he laughed. And he said, for Arsenal, he laughed. And I said, yeah, we had a joke about it. He said, season ticket for Dortmund for the whole season is €180.
That's insane. Now, that blows my mind, because that's the equivalent of... Let's say you go to watch 3 championship games, so 62 people, so 60, 20, 180 plus food, you're looking about 250 quid. So 3 championship games for a day out for 2 people is the equivalent of one Bundesliga
and you watch
season ticket.
Arguably the best atmosphere, the highest average attendance in all of Europe.
We have it arse backwards in this country, right?
And the only thing, if for those of you thinking about getting a Borussia Dortmund season ticket, fat chance, because it's a 10-year waiting list.
Really?
10-year waiting list. And usually you have to wait for someone to die. Sounds a bit morbid, but that's how you get a season ticket. And it normally gets passed down to a family member. So unless somebody at the end of the line of a family passes away, and then you're next on the list, you're very
Can you do that then? You can just pass it down to a family member?
Apparently, yeah.
You inherit the season ticket.
If you've got a family history there of being sort of bred into the football club, then they like it to be passed down because it goes
that's incredible.
The right channels. But €180. One thing as well I noticed, what I thought was a really nice touch, and Reece agreed as well, when you buy a match ticket, the match ticket also qualifies you for free bus travel to and from.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there you have it, people. If anyone's looking to go abroad, here's your guy to come and see.
With most tickets.
Yeah, he has the Connect in Germany as well.
Yeah,
now,
and
so.
We do. And we bought a Bochum ticket, and we said to our friend that how much do we have to pay to get from this station to that station? And he said, no. On the metro network, within that circle,
that's incredible.
You just present your match ticket
and you get on,
and they know where you're going, and you go free.
That is incredible. We've talked about ownership a lot on V&B podcast, especially with Manchester United. We'll come to them later. Swansea City we've mentioned previously in the past. Mike Ashley in Newcastle. Vecky found an interesting piece online about German ownership, bro. If you want to bring that up quick, and just mention how it works in Germany, because it is incredibly interesting and it's very fan orientated.
Yeah, and I'll come on to that in just 2 seconds. One other thing I wanted to mention about fans as well is that there's a lot of issues in this country with sort of fans and fighting, and you see all this stuff on Twitter about when, say, Spurs, United, Chelsea, Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, whoever they are.
Was it the Everton fan that got his face slashed a while back?
And on Twitter, we're all as bad as each other. Liverpool fans will say, you'll see a clip about Chelsea fans, these Chelsea fans are all the same. Spurs fans, double United fans, vice versa. Whenever away fans go away, it's always the same. They're all as bad as each other. But the point I'm trying to make is that if there's a game in England, say you got United away to Liverpool now. Okay, so if Liverpool are at Old Trafford, when 90 minutes goes, the home fans get let out, the away fans stay, don't they?
Yeah.
They have to stay because if they mix,
Trouble,
it'll be violence, trouble. Borussia Dortmund and Schalke, for example, they're a very big rivalry. They won't even drink each other's beer. That's how bad the rivalry is. They just won't.
I love it.
There's a beer called Veltin's beer.
Yeah.
And I asked my mate when we went out there, I went, is that nice? And he went, don't drink that. Schalke beer, shit beer. I went, is it nice beer? Though he went, I don't care, Schalke beer. Don't drink it. But when the whistle goes, they all just leave the stadium at the same time.
Yeah.
And you walk into the turnstiles on the way out, and you got Schalke shirts, Dortmund shirts. They just walk past.
Everyone's mixing.
Not a care in the world.
Yeah.
Because the fans, from minute 0 to minute 90,
hate each other. Such
a voice, such an atmosphere. They hate each other. They'll throw stuff at each other. As soon as that game ends,
respect. Cool.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, it's great.
What I was going to say with ownership, now, apart from a couple of exceptions, which I'll explain a little bit later, obviously in the Premier League, you've seen in recent years, City and a few years back, Chelsea, they've had big owners come in, splash the cash, potentially going to win trophies like Chelsea and City have. And this can't happen in Germany. It can still happen in Spain. It can happen in Italy, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
But in Germany, there's a rule which prevents this from happening. It's called the 50+1 rule.
Yeah.
Which means that any sort of big company or owner can only own a maximum of 49% of a football club. To the exception, you have Bayer Leverkusen, Wolfsburg, and Hoffenheim, which I'll come back to.
Yeah.
But every other club in Germany, if you want to come in and buy a football club, you can only own 49% maximum, which is just under half. Which means the other half of the club is owned by the fans or owned by a mixture of people. So they can't. They
can never fully take.
Can never fully lose control of their club. Yeah,
got you.
Now this has its pros and cons because obviously you look more recently. You've got sort of United's, Barca's, PSG's, City's, Chelsea's. They've all got big owners, big investments. So they can splash the cash. They can sign whoever they like.
Yeah.
And you can see because Bayern Munich, which I was telling you earlier, up until recently where they signed Lucas Hernandez for, I think it was 70 million. Their biggest transfer before that was Tolisso for 37 million. Javi Martinez for 36 million, which is in 2013. Vidal, 33 million. So they don't really pay up until recently. And for many a season.
No, they don't pay big sums of money.
40 million
We'll
pounds.
come on to that in a bit as well.
Look how good they are.
Buying, spending, yeah.
Borussia Dortmund, very much the same. 30 million for Schürrle, 28 for Diallo this season, and 27 for Mkhitaryan. Now, part of the reason why they can't splash much of this money is because they don't generate as much as it, do they?
No, but when you look at that money there that they've sort of spent, it's peanuts compared to other clubs.
But they unfortunately they don't have £100 million. They don't have £90 million or £150 million like United, Barca, City to go and spend on players. So they have to rely on youth products. They have to have a better scouting network. Bayern Munich have been lucky where they've been able to take a lot of players off Dortmund. Namely,
they have,
Lewandowski.
Bayern have always had the cream of the crop when it comes to German talent.
Yeah, so they get a lot from Dortmund. But look how many players Dortmund keep reproducing.
All the time.
So they've sold Lewandowski, Aubameyang, Hummels, Gundogan, Kagawa, Mkhitaryan,
Mario Götze,
Socrates,
Sancho will be on that list soon as well. Yeah,
the list goes on, bro. So they just keep churning out talent. So whilst they don't generate anywhere near as much money from tickets and season tickets as we do, they find another way, and it allows them then to price their match tickets very, very competitively. The genuine fan can buy them. You go to a stadium, and I can testify that the beer and the hot dogs, the bratwurst, I would recommend. Currywurst, not so much. They're very well priced.
Yeah.
So to round that up, you can go and watch any game in German football and have a few beers and something to eat for, I would say, maybe 30 quid.
That's great.
It's
great.
Yeah,
I got a lot of time for that because it looks after the local people and what I like to call the working class as well. Because football prices in this country, bro, I say this country, in the United Kingdom in general, are they're outrageous. They are absolutely outrageous. They do not. It's just not fan orientated, and I really don't have a lot of time for it.
They lead by example in Germany, and it's something we won't follow it because there's too much money over here now. But
bro, yeah, and that's the thing we've said before about fans taking back control. But we really hold all the power.
Yeah.
We've said it before. We hold all the power. If the fans didn't go, football would be nothing.
Exactly.
But too many people.
It's the vice.
Too many people. It is their vice. It's what they live for. It's their first thing that they think about when they wake up. It's the last thing they think about before they go to bed. It's what they talk about all day. It consumes them. And until these people realize that they're just a fucking massive piñata getting smacked every single time, we're going to have the same issue. And every single year you see price increase. I think there was a thing the other day about United had the issue going to the new camp, and now I think Liverpool had the same thing where Barcelona were charging £100 and something odd per ticket.
The away fans, yeah. So
which United then did the same to subsidise their fans. Now Liverpool have done the same thing. Yeah. So it's crazy money, bro. It's actually outrageous when you think about it.
I mentioned it was 3 teams that were an exception to that 50+1 rule. I did say I'd explain
you did,
why.
Yeah, explain.
So Bayer Leverkusen, they were founded by the workers from the pharmaceuticals company Bayer. You've probably seen them around. So they're exempt from that. Wolfsburg is sponsored by Volkswagen, which is basically the reason why the city of Wolfsburg even exists. And 1899 Hoffenheim is sponsored by Dietmar Hopp, who founded the company SAP. They sponsored Hoffenheim, and they have for over 20 years now, which, because they're such a big part of their identity, they're also allowed. So unless you have a huge affiliation with the history of the club, which means that you are kind of exempt and you're allowed to be a company that owns maybe more than 50%.
So you have to have history within that city or that town in order to do more.
So no matter how much money you have, if you want to go into Germany and say, I want to buy Borussia Dortmund football club, it doesn't work like that.
What I like about that, though, again, is everything is very community-based. It's for the working people. It's like, okay, right, you've actually given back in terms of jobs and the economy, so we let you have a little bit of this as well. It's terrific, bro. It's a great model. I think we should follow it more. Swansea City, obviously, this is where we are now in Swansea, for those of you who are first watching, and again, our recurring subscribers, you already know the rest. But again, that would have been an excellent motto, or an excellent, I say motto, it would be an excellent motto for football, but an excellent business model, should I say, for someone like Swansea, who have a consortium of God knows how many people who actually own them. And I think Mindy Kaling is one of the actresses in LA. I remember speaking about it on the podcast before, and she owns part of Swansea City. Couldn't tell you where Swansea is in a map, couldn't tell you anything about Swansea City Football Club, but she was approached and said, look, we have this investment here, or an investment opportunity that might be significant to you. You might be able to make a bit of money on it. She thought, yeah, great, terrific, I'll put my money into it. Yeah, why not make a bit of money? Couldn't tell you anything about Swansea. Couldn't tell you fuck all.
And that's what's wrong.
That's
exactly what's wrong.
Yeah, that's what's wrong. But yeah, I didn't think we'd ever get onto German history on this podcast, because we are now. You never know where it's going to take you, do you?
We can go on any tangents.
We do. We can. We're far more articulate than people give us credit for. That's what I will say. But fan culture, people tweet us and let us know your opinions on it. If you've been to any games abroad, we'd love to know. If you've been to any recent games within the Championship or the Premier League or anywhere else, again, please let us know, because we'd love to talk about it. We'll go into the Champions League quick.
Yes.
I will give that a little bit of... We'll shine a spotlight on it, because it was interesting. As I say, we don't necessarily have to go into it in too much depth, but because, the whole United thing. But probably one of the greatest games I've ever seen, to the point where I couldn't even tweet as fast as the goals were going in, was Spurs ManCity. It was outrageously good. From a neutral standpoint, because neither me or Vecky support Spurs or ManCity. But just watching it, right, I was like, and the empty had was full for this one as well. Yeah. It was full, and they had their flags, and they actually made quite a good atmosphere. I come to that now, actually. A good atmosphere to a degree.
Yeah.
But it was just incredible, bro. What was your opinion on the game?
I'm glad I was a neutral, I'll say, first of all, because if I was a fan of either of those sides, I don't know how I would have coped. Saying that, I watched United PSG, and that had me on pins. This game would have been something similar, and I remember how that made me feel.
Yeah.
And my pulse, my heart rate was through the roof. I didn't know what was going to happen. And it chopped and changed directions. First, City were going through, then Spurs were going through, then City, then Spurs again. And at the death, City were going through. I actually saw a tweet, right? I don't know if you saw it. A guy had his hair appointment with his barber cancelled because his barber dislocated his shoulder celebrating the winner.
So I think I saw
and it didn't even stand.
It didn't even turn out to be the
I shouldn't
winner.
laugh because dislocated his shoulder is painful.
I saw a Leeds fan dislocate his ankle the other day as well.
He broke it, didn't he?
I think he broke his ankle celebrating. It happens, bro. In that people, again, it's people's vice. In that moment, they just lose all train of thought and they go fucking berserk. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, what a game! I would go as far to say it's one of the best Champions League games I've seen.
Comfortably one of the best Champions League games.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially in recent times as well. There was a couple of points that I wanted to bring up on that, but they do kind of tie in a little bit with Guardiola. And I know that you.
Well, actually, we'll come to Guardiola, right? Because we need to give that. We'll give Guardiola, Man City, and everything else. We'll give it some proper times. We'll come to that after the interval. Mm-hmm. What we'll do though is we'll just sort of round up the Champions League. So, all right, City, Spurs, VAR, and the introduction of VAR. Mm-hmm. How crucial is that going to be next season?
It's everything. VAR.
I love everything. I know there's people out
match.
there, and there's one person in particular. He knows who he is. I'm not going to mention his name. That says it's killing the game.
That's a fuck.
I think it adds a great element of excitement to it. And there's an element of fairness as well that then exists with VAR. Because you imagine Sterling scored that, right? And Aguero wasn't given offside. Bro, that changes the course of history potentially. Because Spurs could go on and win it. They probably won't. If they do, terrific. I have no bother with it. But we're talking history-making decisions now. Yeah. And I think it's very essential.
I mean, if VAR goes in your favour, you love it. If it doesn't, then you hate it. It's the way it is. And Aguero is not just, he's not a whisker offside, he is offside.
Yeah, there's no ifs or buts.
There's been a lot closer offside calls this season than that one.
Yeah.
He's comfortably offside, you can't argue with it. It was the fact that it was at the death and it looked like they'd won it and it was a bit of a delay, but there has to be in that kind of decision.
Yeah.
My favourite thing about the VAR whole offside thing is that you can't blame the referee decision because he has no bearing on it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if this guy's in the stadium or whether he's in like a truck a few
he must be in a truck
away.
somewhere. Yeah,
I'm sure they are a certain distance away, so the atmosphere doesn't affect their decision in a way. But he reviews it. There's a line. They draw the line, and you're either offside or you're not. And the referee just came on the screen, didn't it? It said no goal.
No goal.
So you can't even surround the referee in this one and say, oh, your interpretation is wrong, because it's not. Because it's not an interpretation, and it's fair. I want to know who said it was killing the game. I'm going to find this shit out.
I'll tell you. But the Llorente goal. The Llorente goal. I mean, for me, I thought it should have stood, but that's based on the current rules. If I had my way, handball would just be handball. That's it. But obviously now there's various different elements to it.
I saw a couple of camera angles and I couldn't see it hit his hand, but apparently there was another angle which
there was an angle from the other side which showed it brushing his hand. Now, under the laws of the game, his arm is so close to his body that they're not. It's not his fault. Yeah. But to me, I would just go back to the simplest rule possible. If you handle it in the box, irrespective of the situation, it is a penalty. And there's people out there that will say, oh, you'll have 3 or 4 penalties a game. I don't give a fuck. It's just easier. It's just way easier. There's too much controversy surrounding handball. We had Llorente, Kimpembe. There's probably Danny Rose as well. It's just, look, if it hits your hand, it's a penalty. If it hits your hand outside of the box, it's a free kick. It's fine. What is so hard about that?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I understand what you're saying. Just part of me wouldn't like to see that, just based on when the ball comes at you so quick. Sometimes you actually just don't have a human reaction time quick enough to put it in a position where it will move out the way. That ball, the hand to ball.
But then that complicates things. It's a grey area, and
I think sometimes there has to be. But it will create debate.
I don't like it. I just think it should be either or.
I know, you would get rid of the issue of arguing. Mm-hmm. That would go, because the person had like sensors something on their hands, like doing the goal line, if he knows if it hits your hand or not, it flagged up. And then the ref could say VAR, no, it hit your hand, and that's the rule. It hit your hand, it's a penalty, and they would go, well, I don't agree with it, but yeah, that's the way it is, kind of thing. So, yeah, I do appreciate that, but I don't know if I would back it, but it would draw a line under it.
That's what we need, to draw a line under it.
But massive hats off to Spurs.
Oh,
first of all,
bro, But we wrote off Spurs a little bit earlier on in the season, and some may say rightly so, because the wheels came off a little bit for Spurs, and they didn't look like they could turn it around. But the strength of character they've shown to do it, and Son is just, bro, he is...
His second goal.
Oh, my word, what a player.
I will say that I think Edison made a bit of an error for his first one. He let that in quite weak.
Yeah. Edison has been a little iffy at times.
He hit his leg, and it was like a nice sort of height and range for
Yeah.
He
should have done better with it.
Yeah, De Gea's had criticisms, and we'll come on to that when we speak about United very briefly, but he's very good with his legs, De Gea saving, and I don't think that would have gone past De Gea, for example.
I don't know, mate, everything's gone past De Gea lately, but yeah.
But, I just think he should have done better, and I also think Lloris might have done better with Bernardo Silva's goal, because that was really close.
Yeah.
And he sort of just looked at it, and said, but I feel like he could have done something.
It was just
easy to say, as a spectator, but...
Yeah, I don't know, maybe emotion got the better of him, maybe the adrenaline was pumping a bit too much, because it was a supercharged atmosphere, which in part I wanted to come to now, actually. Now, I don't know how true this is, right, because people who follow me on Twitter, follow V&V on Twitter, follow Vecky on Twitter, we follow a lot of the same people, so I imagine you may have seen it retweeted or liked or something like that. So there was somebody in the Etihad Stadium that had camera phones. They're everywhere. So you can't escape anything. They had their camera phone out, and they were filming the way the stand goes up, right? So like row Z now. So at the back of row Z, there was a speaker pumping fan noise into the stadium. Now again, I don't know how true that was, but if that is the case, that's shambolic.
Oh yeah,
that's absolutely piss from
I've heard
that.
That's in a couple of clubs. That is.
That's absolutely outrageous, and that goes again back to fan culture. I know standing isn't allowed because of safety issues. And rightly so, and rightly well in Germany, they don't have any issues over in Germany with standing, right? I mean, maybe it's a British thing. British people can't be trusted. We know this. We've seen Brits abroad. It doesn't work out well, but yeah, that just it had my mind thinking about fan culture again, and what you were saying about Germany and
you would never in Germany. No,
pumping noise into a stadium is very plastic.
Wasn't the signal I do in a park, which is Borussia Dortmund Stadium, by the way? Imagine them having speakers pumping fan noises. They tear that shit down.
Bro, I know. But
no, I've heard of that before, and it doesn't surprise me. It is pretty shambolic. But
it's not great, is it?
They're trying to do what they can, I think, to generate some atmosphere.
Very true. In terms of Champions League then, ManCity Spurs, excellent game. United Barca we'll touch upon very quickly. Didn't expect anything other than a Barca win, which happened. Messi... Messi played well, right? But United made him look the player he is.
They're saying it was a Messi masterclass.
United was so poor.
I wouldn't go as far as a Messi masterclass. He had a very good game. But he had a usual Messi game.
And it doesn't help when you have players like Phil Jones and Chris Smalling that are there to assist that.
Because his first goal was brilliant. It shouldn't have happened because Ashley Young was being an absolute fucking idiot.
We'll come to that later.
But we'll come back to that. But that... it was Young's mistake which led to Messi getting possession of the ball, and obviously what he did from thereafter was brilliant. You can't take that away from him.
No.
And that's just Messi to a T. The second goal, though, obviously that was a big mistake by De Gea, which is a bit uncharacteristic. Yes, he's perhaps not lived up to the heights that he has in the previous 2 or 3 seasons. I'm sure we can all agree with that this season. But he's still, up to this point, had a few pretty good games. He's won his points, whatever. This was the first big, huge blunder I've seen him have. Yeah. He's had little ones.
He's had a few here.
You could say, could have maybe done better.
But that was
this one was an absolute.
Did he with Spain in the World Cup? Did he have some sort of issue there?
Yes, he did. He did one in. I think it was Ronaldo, wasn't it?
I think it was. Yeah.
Spilled one or something, or that when Ronaldo's in, but it doesn't happen often. But when things aren't going your way, and you've got young Phil Jones and Chris Smalling in defence cocking up. The last thing you need then is Mr. Reliable De Gea to be letting soft goals like that.
Wrong so then, don't you? Yeah.
Yes, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. I didn't go in with any anticipation of us winning this game. Had we have come out from Old Trafford 1-0 up or 2-1 up or something, which we could have, because that was the game. The game which we haven't covered obviously on the podcast because we've been away. But when Barcelona came to Old Trafford, that was United's chance because Barca were below par.
They didn't go for the throw.
And on another day, had they have pulled their finger at their arse a little bit, they might have come away there with a 2-1 or something like
True
that.
Yeah.
If that had happened, then it might have gone into the second leg with a small amount of optimism.
But none.
But it was already done.
Same. Liverpool Porto is very straightforward. It's not an awful lot to say because they did what they were supposed to do, so well done to them. Mm-hmm. Ajax turning over Juve, just a very quick mention to them. I don't know again if I'm saying his name right. Delight.
I think it's Delight.
He is delightful. He's incredible, bro. At 9, because he captained Ajax in the Europa League at 17, I believe, and he's now 19 and he's captain in Ajax still. He plays like he's 29. De Jong plays like he's 31.
Yeah.
Brilliant players. Both will probably. Well, De Jong is at Barca now next season. Delight.
There's
again.
a couple of other, like Tadic is at a barnstorming season.
Tadic, yeah.
Southampton fans must be thinking, what on earth have we done there?
Bro, I can only put it down to coaching and philosophy.
Sure, he scored like 29 goals or something.
I think it was one of the French newspapers. They've only ever given 3 10 out of 10 performances ever, and they give him a 10 out of 10 for his performance against Real Madrid in the knockout stage, and he wasn't far off.
He's been sublime
against Juventus. Yeah, so shout out to them, man. They were great.
The sad thing about Ajax is I actually, in a way, hope they do go all the way now and win the Champions League. Because,
it'd be nice.
Because that team's going to get ripped apart because they haven't got money.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Similar to what I was saying about the German football culture and the money. The Dutch is quite similar, and they just haven't got the money. You look at, I think it was yourself or someone else pointed out, United beat Ajax in the Europa League final. Was it 2015?
2015, yeah.
And you look at the two paths both clubs have taken.
Or was it 2017?
No, it wasn't that.
Was it not that long ago?
Sure, maybe. It was
2 years ago?
Mourinho's first season, wasn't it?
Or was it 2015, 2016?
Somewhere around there. And you look at the money United have spent since. Ajax has spent next to nothing.
Yeah.
And look where they are and look where we are. And it's all because they've had to look into their youth system. Because they haven't had a choice. They can't go splashing that sort of cash. And look at the rewards they've had. Someone at the club with the right ideology, with the right football in mind. You've got Van der Sars there as well. Mark Overmars. They've just got a really good thing going on. And the sad part of it is that it's likely to get pulled apart.
It is, bro. It is very sad. With the Ajax project, I mean, it's very sustainable, but as you say, it gets ripped apart pretty quickly. With the sort of rest of the Premier League information, we'll go over that now, guys. We will take a quick interval. Add us up on the relevant social media platforms. It's all going there. Me, Vecky, the whole V&V ones. And yeah, we'll be back with the Premier League information and all the latest news. BRB. Alright people, V&V Podcast episode 38. Let's get into the Premier League roundup.
Let's do that.
I'm going to do my little media segue. So we talked about Manchester City previously.
We did.
And their Champions League exploits. Question for you, James Vack. Now, do you think that Manchester City being knocked out of the Champions League is going to have a positive effect on the title race for them?
No.
You don't think it has any impact whatsoever?
No, well, I've said to you before in a few previous episodes that I think this squad is big and strong enough to be able to fight on all fronts. So I don't think it'll benefit them in terms of, now we don't have to play X amount of games, and we're not going to have players struggling for fitness or whatnot. I don't think from that perspective, because they already had enough depth shown by the players that Guardiola left out in certain games. The only positive that I think it might have is a realization for them that they have to win the Premier League now.
That is exactly what I'm thinking as well. Is that now all your eggs are in one basket? Yeah,
we say that in terms of
that's going to be hard for Liverpool now.
They'll likely win the FA Cups. They'll have 2 trophies anyway.
That's not till the end of the season though, so that can go on the back burner for now.
So they're likely to have 2, and they could do a little bit of like a mini treble.
Still a very good achievement, by the way.
Very good achievement. It's not the one they want though. But to answer your question, I don't think it'll have too much of an impact. But there might be the attitude in a couple of the players which may think, okay, well, the Champions League is not on the table anymore now. The Premier League is, and we need to make sure priority number 1 is that this is what we need to win. So it might refocus.
I would agree. Yeah, I'd agree. I think Man City going out to the Champions League was the worst thing that could have possibly happened to Liverpool, because ultimately now, 100% think that, because I think Man City now, their entire focus between this point here and this point here, so the FA Cup's over here, is the league. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. You pour everything into that. That's a problem for Liverpool because they need them to lose. And right now, if City come past United and Burnley this weekend, I'd fancy them then to go on and win it. And I still think Liverpool might edge it.
I said to you how many episodes back now, I think City will win every game.
There may be one twist.
What's that?
Well, Man City could fuck up, bro. I mean, it's not other than Brighton away at the end, right? Which even then, if Brighton are going for survival on the last day, might not be the easiest game away from home. Leicester, they've got at the Etihad. Leicester are in decent form, and they're no pushovers. Burnley are safe, so you'd fancy City to beat them. But then I don't know which United will show up.
That's the thing. I was just about to say, you may laugh, but the potential banana skin is still United. Now I know social media have said that United have got absolutely no chance to win anything against City, and to a large degree, I agree with you. I do agree with you, because if you were to tell me that City will come to Old Trafford and they'll win 3-4-0, 3-4-1, would you be surprised? I wouldn't.
No, not at all.
I would just say, it's pretty much what I expected.
I'm fully anticipating City to get a minimum 3 goals against that United side. However,
frustratingly, there is a performance in that United side. We know that. It hasn't happened for a while, which law of averages says that they might get up for it, and they do have enough talent within that side.
And a huge point to prove now as well.
And at home. That they can do it. Will they do it? And do I think they'll do it? Absolutely not.
No.
But out of all the teams remaining, United could still throw a spanner in the works there. And for United, it's such an odd one, because I guess the first time ever you've got United supporting City, United fans supporting City in that game, and Liverpool fans supporting United. How the fuck did that happen?
No, I know.
How was the situation?
The world works in mysterious ways.
So, do the United players? I don't want to question anything in them. But if you're a United player, do you want to win that game?
Do you know what? Professional pride tells me they do.
They do.
But the way they've performed lately, I do have to question certain people's characteristics.
As a United fan, I'd rather we miss out on Champions League to stop Liverpool winning the league. I would.
It's that deep, is it?
It is that deep,
It's that deep, yeah.
It's that deep because, Liverpool fans, they don't stop talking about 2005. United won the Champions League in 2008. We don't speak about that. But they still talk about 2005. If City win the league, I can deal with that, because you'll hear it. I don't know any City fans.
Oil Money FC.
Yeah,
they've only got like 3 fans.
No, any City fans, and it just disappears. Anyone can win it, just not them.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think Liverpool. The worst thing that could have happened, because the league now, it will be very tough if they're waiting on the destiny's not in their hands now, and they're waiting on Man City to throw it away essentially. And with the size of Man City's squad, I mean, realistically, like there's 4 games left for them now.
Yeah.
The squad's more than capable of getting 12 points, right? So whether they do or they don't, time will tell.
Yeah. I did say in a previous episode, I think they'll win every Premier League game, didn't I?
Did indeed. You saw on camera, you said it.
And it is going that way at the moment.
It is. Okay, so lovely segue into the Premier League. Now, Pep Guardiola. Yep. We discussed him a little bit before we came on air. Pep Guardiola is an interesting character, because I wanted to go over what he's spent so far since he's left Barcelona. Now, domestically, if Man City climb the mountain again, if they finish, I think they can finish on 98 points as a maximum, which is a terrific return, right? It's incredible. And last season we said they got 100 points or 101 points or whatever it was. So domestically, that box is ticked. Guardiola has come, he's been there, he's conquered. If he gets it for a 3rd year, then they'll probably be one of the greatest Premier League sides ever.
Yes.
That Manchester City side are still not an elite side.
Nope.
Now, going back to Guardiola, he's everybody's favourite coach, right? He's probably the most popular coach in the world right now, we'll say. I know a lot of people like Klopp, but Guardiola and his philosophy has been going on for years. Now, Guardiola, when he was at Bayern, spent 183.6 million, right?
Yeah.
Now, again, Bayern essentially dominated when he was there domestically, very similar to what's happening at Manchester City. So, kind of there's parallels, they mirror each other. He then struggled in the Champions League with Bayern. They never won it. I think they may have got to a final or a semi-final.
And they actually won it the year before he came. They won the treble the year he came.
At Manchester City, he has spent 537 million. That's by my calculations. Now, there might be more, it might be less, but that's the number that we're going to throw. That's the number we're going to throw out there now, right? That's a significant amount of money to just win a Premier League.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, Man City have not got past quarterfinals in the Champions League either. So the question I wanted to pose to you is this. If he doesn't ever win a Champions League at Manchester City, does that taint his legacy?
I believe it does a little bit.
I think it does as well.
I was going to ask you this quite recently as well. I was going to ask Reece also. There's no disputing he is a very, very good manager.
Incredible manager.
Very good manager.
Incredible manager.
And he's shown this, and the football that his sides play are up there, one of the best football I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Now at Barcelona, how many Champions Leagues did he win? Was it 2, 3? Just the one, maybe.
I'm going to say. I know there was 2. There was 2 finals against United.
Yeah, but
one at Wembley and one in.
I don't think Guardiola was there for both.
Are you sure? I'm sure he was.
It was definitely 2009.
2009 and 2011, he won. The last time Guardiola won a Champions League was 2011.
Okay, so yes, them two, right? That's fine. So he won 2 there, and you could argue that a large part of that is Lionel Messi.
Not just him, but the overall unit of the spine
Messi,
of that team.
But obviously Xavi and Iniesta and their primes as well, right?
Bro, stop.
So I think Frank Rijkaard won the Champions League in 2006.
I think he did, yeah.
With Barcelona. When they had, I think it was Ronaldinho, Xavi, I think it was Iniesta coming into it then.
Was Eto'o there at the time as well? Henry?
Sort of like Deco and Henry. And
Barca had some players, mate. I'm like, fucking hell.
Not that I'm saying that anybody could have won it, but I think a good manager with that Barcelona side playing that type of football would have had a good chance.
Mm-hmm.
So he leaves Bayern Munich. Leaves Barcelona and goes on to Bayern Munich. As I mentioned, they won the treble. They did in the Champions League the season before he arrives, and Hank, I think his name is said.
Yeah.
I think he's recently come back as well. I think in the last season or 2, he was there again. And like you said, Guardiola, he won everything domestically. He won the league. He won the German Cup. I think it's called the DFB Pokal or something like that. It is.
You'd know better than me, bro.
And he won all of that. But they didn't. Bayern Munich then didn't bring Pep Guardiola in to win the same league title that they've been winning for however long.
Look, Mancini, Pellegrini,
yeah,
all won the Premier League.
And Pep Guardiola said the other day in a recent interview, he said they didn't bring me in to win the Champions League. I'm sorry, Pep, they did. They absolutely did.
They did.
That's
they
exactly
100%. The whole blueprint of Manchester City is designed to be European
Sheikh
champions.
Mansour said in an interview a few years ago that the whole philosophy is around them winning the Champions League. Now Pellegrini got City to a semi-final. When he was there, they lost to Real Madrid in the semis, I believe it was. Like you said, he hasn't got past the quarter-final. So it does dent his reputation slightly. And I don't know what it is, what your thoughts on it are, but his team selection around big Champions League ties are very bizarre.
Sketchy.
Like in the first leg, he doesn't bring De Bruyne until the 89th minute.
Do you know what though? A lot of people, I think about that now, right? And do you know De Bruyne? They said he's missed 45% of Manchester City's season because he keeps getting rushed back from injury. And I think in the back of Guardiola's mind, he probably thought, we could maybe get away with this without him. But they couldn't. There wasn't enough quality there.
But then why bring him on at that point in the game? The game's dead almost.
You'd have to ask him. I don't know.
If you're gonna, if he's maybe he's 90%, maybe he's not 100%, and he's got that little thing in the back of his mind thinking, I don't want to rush him too much or give him too much game time. Bring him on the 70th minute.
Yeah.
Give him time. Sane over both legs, he leaves him until the last minute. He plays Mahrez, who's hardly played all season. Especially this calendar year, he hasn't had that much game time. So why is Mahrez the first choice?
I can only assume it's a tactical decision and then in terms of what Mahrez offers.
Yeah, well, I just don't understand it. And also then in the second leg, their best centre-half pairing all season has been Stones and Laporte. But was it out of sentiment? He brings in Vincent Kompany. The guy is an absolute club legend.
I don't know.
But he's not the Vincent
Kompany. I thought Stones was injured when he didn't play, but he wasn't, was he? He was just on the bench. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people said his team selection against Spurs, especially in the first leg, wasn't bold enough.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you look over the campaigns previously when they drew Liverpool in the quarterfinals. They were 3-0 down within a matter of minutes when they went to one of the legs. In Monaco, they were 2 down early doors. 2 down to Spurs in the Etihad early doors again. I think Fernandinho's didn't play in both the legs, and his team selection it baffles me at times. All the way through the group stages and things like that, they stick to what's worked for them in the league. And then he gets like this later stage of a Champions League and he tries to do something completely different.
Do you know what I'll say though about City in the group stages? Who did they face? Hoffenheim, Shakhtar, and who's the other one? Put it this way, it was Lyon. It was Lyon aside, there wasn't an awful lot where you wouldn't have thought, well, they should There wasn't the caliber of the teams weren't that great.
Yeah,
as soon as they come across a real test, again they failed.
Yeah, but then yet 9 times out of 10 in the league, they'll beat Spurs.
I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it as to why it's so.
Weekend.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, now Spurs squad isn't that big, and I fully anticipated Man City going into Saturday's game with a point to prove, saying, okay, right, we lost this in dramatic fashion in the week. We're gonna put all our eggs in one basket and just batter you.
Well, I think that Guardiola sort of gets a little bit caught up in the sort of the situation sometimes because, like I said, more often than not, City will beat Spurs home and away in the league at the moment. And so all this was a home and away tie.
Yeah.
But the situation seemed to get the better of him because he just made bizarre decisions, which I just don't understand. But to kind of round it back up to the original question, I think if he doesn't win the Champions League with City, with the money that they're spending and the football that they're playing, then it does put a dent in his reputation.
Well, we're coming up to a decade now since Guardiola's last won the Champions League, and during that point he has spent 720 million.
Yeah.
And next season he'll be throwing money again. Yeah. The Man City squad is going to be very interesting next season because initially when me and Vecky were doing the transfer videos in January, they only really needed a defensive midfielder. But now there's talk of Gundogan's leaving, he's not signing a new contract. There's talk of Jesus going, he wants to play somewhere regular.
Silva could be retiring.
He's not getting any younger. Sane, there's talk about him maybe going, you know what, as you say, I'm not really playing as much as I want. It's going to be interesting in Man City to see what they do. I'm really, really interested to see who they bring in, because for all their financial clout, they've struggled to bring in the players they really want. They wanted Sanchez, didn't get him. They wanted Fred, didn't get him. Some may say for the best. Frankie de Jong, they were desperate to get Frankie de Jong and come in and play in that defensive midfield role, and they couldn't get him because he wanted prestige. He was like, money's not that important, because he has a certain footballing philosophy. He wanted to go to Barca. So it's interesting to note that for all the money they have, their lack of stature in Europe does hinder them.
It does slightly.
It does hinder them. It does. It's really interesting, bro. And I think a lot of young players, especially ones who have a certain ideology, a certain philosophy, who want to not necessarily play football a certain way, but be a part of a certain chapter of history, I do think they'll continue to turn Man City down. That's just my opinion, though. Again, people, let us know your opinion on it as well.
City need to break the cycle, don't they? Otherwise,
well, if they don't break the cycle and win the European Cup, it's going to be the same thing. But City, though, I think they're in pole position to win the league. You know, if they throw it away, Liverpool will be very lucky to get that.
I think if they get past United now,
then
then they don't go on to win it, there'd be major questions.
Huge. But shout out to City, though. As I say, you know, that they're in pole position. Liverpool, just very quickly touching upon them, got past Cardiff, tricky tie. Liverpool, Cardiff, going into Cardiff is never easy. Warnock plays a certain way, you know, his teams are going to fight you all day long. I think there's one chance that Sean Morrison had where he headed over that. Did he head wide or over? I don't know how he missed though.
He went sort of
he got under the ball
and it hit the back of his head and kind of went backwards. I thought he did the post and watching it live at the time.
Yeah, it was a weird one, wasn't it?
And I watched it. I thought, what happened there? And I watched the replay and thought,
how did he miss? I know. But still, Wijnaldum with a great goal from the corner, really well worked. Milner doing what he does, slotted home, terrific. They look just steady, bro. They're just a well-oiled machine.
Very quickly, what do you think about the penalty decision?
Oh yeah, well, Salah, I thought it was a penalty. He does have hold of him in the box. I thought it was pretty naive again from Morrison.
Yeah, I think by the written law, you would say it's a penalty. Do I really think it's a penalty? No, because I know that he went down.
In fact, I think it is a penalty. If you put what happened into 3 stages, right? So you have stage 1 where he's got the arms around him, okay, and then stage 2 he's grabbing him in the box. It's very naive defending. Yeah. So in that respect, it's a penalty. But stage 3 where he lets go and Salah kind of tries to time he flops. It's like just a floppy cock. Right? Yeah. He just kind of he just droops and he goes down, and the way he throws himself down, with another referee, he might not give a penalty.
Yeah,
It is a penalty, but it's that last stage.
If I'm Neil Warnock, I'm saying, why are you being so stupid? It is naive.
It's incredibly naive.
If I'm a football
especially
manager,
at the top level as well.
Yeah, and my back four in the change room before the game one of the only things I'm saying to them is if Salah or someone like a Hazard or a Sterling or someone or Kane gets close to you, just stand him up. Do not touch him. Don't wrap your arms around him.
Just double up on him.
Just double up on him.
You don't need to.
Or, you can stand behind them. You can jockey them like that. You don't have to put your hands all over them. So it is very naive. It's a penalty by the letter of the law. I don't like it. When I watched it, I just sort of turned away because it frustrates me.
Yeah.
But it is a bit silly from the defender as well.
Very true. There's not an awful lot to say about Liverpool. As I say, they're just a well-oiled machine. They're all pulling in the same direction. Klopp is doing his thing. That's it.
They're just, at the moment, I saw someone said they're just finding the answer to all the puzzles at the moment.
They have all the answers.
They're patient. They don't seem to panic. And they're still getting the job done. What is bizarre is that they could go on to amass a total of 96 or 97 points and not win the league.
I know, it's incredible.
Which would be the most craziest thing. I think
that could only happen to Liverpool.
Yeah.
I don't think it could happen to anybody else.
Yeah.
I generally don't think it could.
With every other Premier League season apart from last year, it would win you the title.
Yeah, bro, comfortably win you the title as well, might I add. Yeah. Do you think they'll get past Barca?
No.
It's a big ask, mine, isn't it? People, let us know your opinions on that Barca-Liverpool tie, because it's probably the standout tie, in fairness. It's Spurs and Ajax is interesting for different reasons, because they're the underdogs, but these are probably two of the form sides.
I'm kind of glad that the tie is the way they are, because it'd be nice for an underdog side to get to the final. We know that's going to happen. And Barcelona, one of the only sides over recent years that have really wanted Liverpool at their best face. Because that's like the ultimate test.
Barca's the true test.
It's sort of everyone's saying, Liverpool are the best side in Europe, which there's no sort of foundation to that really at the moment. But there's a lot of people saying Liverpool are the best side in Europe, and I think it's in inverted commas, best side in Europe versus the best side in Europe, I think, at the moment, which is Barcelona.
If Leo shows up, it's going to be a long time.
They'll fare better than United, I'm pretty confident.
Bro, look, Van Dijk versus Messi is a great battle.
Just about to say.
Because Van Dijk is a machine. I said this earlier on in the season, and you had a little doubt about it, and then Reece as well. He's the best defender in the world right now.
Yeah.
100%. There's not even a debate right now. So for him and Messi to go up against each other, we really see what Van Dijk is made of.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to stop him, because nobody stops him.
Well...
Nobody stops Messi, not even for a full game. United somehow in the first leg managed to keep him relatively quiet.
That's because Chris Smalling fucking flattened him. Yeah. Like literally bulldozed him.
That's the thing you've got to do. But he still had the assist to Suarez's goal. So even when he was flattened... Even
with... he had no nostrils and one eye.
No eyesight.
Nothing. He still had an assist. I know. He's a great player.
So, we managed to keep him relatively at bay, but then you can't, it's not just one leg thing, it's a two-leg thing. Messi's great against English sides away from home, but he's a different animal at Nou Camp.
Where's the first leg? Is it in the Nou Camp?
It's in the Nou Camp.
Interesting. So if Barca get a lead there, they'd probably feel quite comfortable going to Anfield. But on the other hand, if Liverpool get an away goal, man, Anfield's a tough place to go. It
is. I do just fancy Barca though.
Really? Barca?
Suarez and Coutinho against Liverpool.
Oh, look, I would love to... right? Set the scene, right? At the Kop end. It's the 90th minute, right? It's 2-2. Coutinho crosses in for Suarez to score. Does he celebrate? I reckon he did. Do you reckon?
I reckon
Suarez was a bastard.
He's a bastard.
He is a bastard. He would forget all his Liverpool loyalty in a second.
Absolutely. He's celebrating. Yeah. Just one thing I forgot to mention earlier. You said about the City Spurs game or VAR. I saw someone on Twitter. Someone mentioned that how mental would it be if Spurs scored the winner against City in the Premier League and it was offside, but there was no VAR. So Pep be absolutely fucking fuming.
God, bro, he'd be raging. But they got away with it with the Walker. Well, I say the Walker handball. I mean, again, do you think that was handball?
I think it was handball. Yeah.
Oh, I could care less either way, to be honest with you.
Going by what you were saying earlier, it is handball.
Going by this is what I mean. I'm so past caring. Under my rules, it's handball, but under everybody else's rules is different interpretations. There's about 15 different interpretations depending on who you speak to, so I don't even care anymore. I'm past it.
But no, I think Liverpool will provide a stern test for Barca, but I don't think they'll have enough. I think Barca will win the Champions League.
Yeah, no, sound man. I kind of am with you in that. I'm hoping that either Ajax or Spurs win it. But if you had to say to me, pick a favourite, yeah, it would be Barca.
I'd love Ajax to win it.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw it out there. I'd love Spurs to win it. I'd absolutely love Spurs to win it.
Do you know what? The thing is with Ajax, there's people still saying now that Spurs have got the easy draw. What do Ajax have to do to put people on note? They've just turned over Real Madrid and Juventus.
Yeah.
You don't do that by fluke.
Bro, they aren't fucking around. They are not.
So if anybody thinks the Spurs have got an easy draw, then
they are mistaken.
You can think again, because it is anything but an easy draw.
Yeah. All right, cool. Right. That is the top 2 covered. You're sticking with your Man City prediction, yeah?
Yeah.
I did say Liverpool. I'm gonna flip flop. I'm gonna still say Liverpool for now, until the last game of the season. At which point I'll change. Because I am I'm a bit of a bastard like that, but I don't care. Anyway, right. So top 2 covered. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how much depth you want to go into on this, right? Because we'll go into the tops, the top 6 battle. We'll cover United first. Now, I don't really want to talk about United.
No.
And I know you probably don't either. So, how many minutes have we got until an interval roughly here? What are we on now? Let's have a little look. All right, so we'll do United for 10 minutes, right? I don't really want to give it 10 minutes, but we kind of have to shed some light in it. How fucking bad was that game against Everton? Like, in terms of... I remember Mourinho with the Sevilla game, and I remember saying to you, it was piss. It was one of the worst games I've ever seen. I think that goes beyond it.
I think it's in the top 3 worst games since Fergie retired.
It was so bad, right? That I said, I don't know if you saw my tweet, people. If you follow VMV, please go favourite the tweet. If you don't follow us, what are you doing? Follow us, then favourite the tweet, please. But I said that if Cenk Tosun came on and scored, we would actually stop this podcast and we would start a YouTube cooking channel instead. Because I don't want to be in a world where Cenk Tosun scores the 5th goal against Manchester United. I don't want to live in that world. No. And I'm glad I don't.
There was a very poor game where Mourinho lost 4-0 to Chelsea. That was poor. When Conte was there. There was a couple of poor performances under David Moyes and one under Van Gaal, but this one ranks right up there. It was absolutely dour. It was awful. Gary Neville, you could see in his voice.
Gary Neville is fuming. Gary Neville, if he was
on VMV.
Oh, I did invite him on as well, but I tweeted him and said, come on.
If you're watching... Yeah,
Gary or Phil, or they have a sister that's into
Tracy
sport
Neville.
as well. Tracy might have an opinion too. Neville is sadly passed away, I think. But any Neville family member.
Gary, Phil, if you're listening, the invitation is still there. If you want to come on,
it's always there.
We've got the platform. We'll provide you with a platform where you can say whatever the fuck.
Drinks and snacks as well.
Everything
you
is
can
on
have
us.
Whatever you like.
Yeah, 100%. But you could tell in his interview with Sky Sports, he was like muffling words because he wanted to swear and say so much worse, but he knew that he couldn't because he's such a United.
That's why Sky is the wrong platform for him, because you can't swear.
Yeah, he needs to be on VMV.
Yeah, 100%.
VMV TV.
Or we go on his podcast. He has the Sky Sports one. Yeah, probably can't swear in that either. Actually, now we think about it.
No, we can do a little interview with him behind the scenes.
And then I tell you what, we'll do Gary's and he can do ours, and then ours will be like 2 hours of him just trashing Paul Pogba and Anthony Martial, which I'm going to do in a minute. But continue, bro.
I don't really know where you start with it, because
there's nothing we haven't said already.
It's just a culmination of all the problems we've outlined over the last couple of weeks, months, this season, probably last season, just all combining together to create an absolute fucking cauldron of shite.
I don't even know what to say to you right now, mate. I can't even think of a starting point.
I tweeted the other day about my opinions of what a couple of things needed to change. Remember, Buller pointed out. If we continue to reward mediocrity, then we'll keep having mediocrity. Is one of the first things. Ashley Young needs to go. Chris Smalling needs to go. Phil Jones needs to go. Those are the first 3. And if you agree with that, those 3 straight away need to be gone.
I said in previous podcasts, I've made peace with the fact United aren't a big club anymore. So I have no expectations. We said this, I think it was the last podcast we were on. I turned around here and I said to you, what do you expect to change in the summer? Nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change. Nothing. I don't. I can't. I just. You say the first 3 to go, bro. I'd have them all on an ark, right? And I'd have them shipped out and sailed out of Old Trafford.
Yes, I agree.
There'd be Ashley Young. There'd be Chris Smalling. There'd be Phil Jones. Fellaini's already gone.
Rojo.
Thank God. Marcus Rojo. Bailly. Darmian. Valencia. Matic isn't good enough now. We know this. Matic himself. Mata and Herrera are both gone in the summer now. Contract-wise, I think they're both up.
Yeah.
De Gea's probably going to go. Fred is probably not good enough. I mean, he's had a few good games. I give him another season in there just to acclimatise a bit more. Sanchez is another one now that realistically, I mean, where does he even fit into Solskjaer's plans? I keep Lukaku. I think he's a decent player if you provide him with the right service. Bro, there's like Jermaine Genius summed it up, right? He summed it up really, really well. Jermaine Genius said on Match of the Day 2 last night, he said there's a mixture of players who aren't good enough and a mixture of players who want to leave. That is a terribly toxic mix of players. It's horrendous.
Problem is, though, is that obviously I agree with most of the players you said that we need to get rid of, but you can't do it all in one go.
You could, but you'd have to take a hit on them financially. Now, this is the problem Jose Mourinho had. Jose Mourinho wanted to get rid of players before. Players like Darmian, who are on quite big contracts. Ed Woodward wouldn't take a hit on them financially. He's like, this is our value, we aren't going below it. Now, you have to understand in a football market, Matteo Darmian is not an attractive prospect. Once you get a chance to get rid of him, just take the hit on him. I always used to wonder back in the day, because Chelsea are very good, right, at selling players for extortionate fees. Like they sold David Luiz to PSG for like 50 million. They got 37 for Mata from United. Chelsea are very good at that, right? But not all clubs are sort of bred the same. When United would sell players, not like they sold Phil Neville to Everton for nothing. They sold Tom Cleverley for nothing. Gill and Ferguson were the masters of going, he can't add anything into this squad. We'll take the hit financially and we'll make it up in another area, because United do. They can go get a deal with some Asian country somewhere and go, okay, yeah, you know, stick Manchester United's logo on the dog meat that you're selling, right? And United will make 10 million from it. Doesn't matter. They were aware that United's commercial success could impact them in a positive way. So if you have to lose 4 or 5 million on a player, it's not the end of the world, right? Ed Woodward doesn't get that. That is why Darmian is still in that squad. Bro, we could be here all day talking about it, right? And Ed Woodward is part of the problem, not part of the solution. Until Manchester United is run like a football club, and you have an ideology and a philosophy and a desire to win, it doesn't matter what happens. They can't do anything. They won't do anything. I've said this time and time to you again. I'm at peace with the fact now that I have no expectations going into next season. Because United won't win nothing next season. Bro, United will be lucky to get top 4 again next season. Because right now, Sarri's doing quite well at Chelsea. There's been a revival. Emery's doing terrific at Arsenal. Liverpool and ManCity are going to be there again. Imagine Spurs win the Champions League. New stadium, the players they're going to attract. And United are still wondering how to sell Darmian. Bro, it's fucked. The whole situation's fucked, and that's all I can say about it.
Yeah. No, I think it's spot on. And it says it all when people are criticising Ashley Young for his performance in the new camp, right? And rightly so. But what does it come to when you've got a 33-year-old converted winger playing full-back in the new camp defending against Messi?
That's not Ashley Young's fault either.
No, it's not his fault.
It's not his fault in the sense that he's only doing his job, right? And
badly,
he's doing it badly. He's not a left back. He's not a right back. He's not. No. You know, he's barely a right winger now. But like, he's doing his best to try and be a good pro and going, you know what? I don't usually play there. I'm not accustomed to playing there. I will give it my best shot. But he's being shown up for what he is, a retired winger. So
yeah, it's not his fault. Yeah, you know, has he been horrendously bad? Yes, he has, but it's not his fault. He shouldn't have been allowed to get to this point where Ashley Young is playing there. The one thing I wanted to, you know, just sort of touch on last of all before we put a final note on this one.
Yeah.
Mourinho, he said when he got United to finish second that it was a miracle that this club finished second in the league, and it was a minor miracle he got them to do that.
And he got slated for that as well.
What do you think of that statement now?
I said at the time I thought it was a very decent statement. In our predictions, I said United will come third this season, and that was being very generous. we know the issues that exist at United. I've said, bro, a million times, and I've specifically said it about one player, but it's very applicable to multiple players now. Hard work will beat talent when talent doesn't work hard. And we've been over this a million times with Anthony Martial. And Solskjaer came out and said the exact same thing Mourinho said. These players need a reality check. Anthony Martial is not the player he thinks he is. Now, he's very lucky that he's just signed a new contract, but he has no hiding place. There's no Mourinho to go, oh, Mourinho's bullying me. Oh, you know, my missus has had a kid and he's telling me to come back and I should be here. And, oh, you know, he doesn't show me any love. Bro, he's playing consistently under Solskjaer. He's got his long-term future sorted. This is the part where you take the game by the scruff of the neck and you go, you know what? I'm going to make something happen. He's jogging around doing fuck all. His attitude
stinks. And you know if he tries to play a pass or do something that doesn't go wrong, all he does is goes...
Bro, he is not good enough. He's not good enough to make those kind of hand gestures. If you're a Kylian Mbappe, right, you can make those kind of hand gestures. Yeah, if you're an Ousmane Dembele, you can make those kind of hand gestures. If you're Anthony Martial at this time, bro, roll your sleeves up and chase back. Because he was pissed on the weekend. Rashford... I feel I'm going to give Rashford a pass, right? Because Rashford has done quite a lot for United this season, and he's carried that United side. So I'm not going to go in on him too much. Yeah. But Paul Pogba, bro, just get rid of him. Gone. I want him gone. The whole Barcelona thing at the start of the year, where they were going to try and do the swap deal for Yerry Mina. I feel like that was instigated by him and his agent, and Barca were confident enough to do it. So at the point, I thought he didn't want to be there. With the Mourinho situation, he kind of got what he wanted, but he knows he's part of an average side. I would rather just, if realistically, I'm sure I asked you this question, I'd have to go back in the previous podcast and check. If Barcelona or Real Madrid come in and they offer 120 million for Paul Pogba on July the 1st, do you let Paul Pogba go?
Yeah, I will do it now.
100%.
Yeah.
I would, bro, I said this before, I would take 120 million for him and I would reinvest that in the side.
The frustrating thing is as well is that he would go to Barcelona, he would flourish.
Yeah, because he's in a terrific side. Yeah. That's why. That United's Paul Pogba is part of a United side that's just very average. That's all I can say about it. And ultimately, he's a good player and he deserves better. His attitude is shit, might I add, by the way. But ultimately now, I think it's time for him and United to just part ways. He'd have been great in a United team 10 years ago. You know, if you think about it, in a Carrick and Scholes midfield, maybe an Owen Hargreaves, but he hasn't got it in him to carry this team on his back. He doesn't, and United need leaders now. That's what they need, bro.
It's left for Solskjaer to try and pick up any pieces and rebuild something. How much he'll do, we'll see. He's coming out saying the right things, you know, saying that players need a reality check. Yeah. A lot of them aren't going to be here next season, blah, blah, blah. We'll see.
We will. We'll go to a quick interval. Again, add us up on the relevant platforms, people. B&B Podcast on Twitter and IG. And me and Vecky will have ours on there too. We'll be back. We will have Arsenal and Chelsea profiles. And we'll have the best of the rest. Stay tuned. Okay, people, we're back. Episode 38. We'll finish our top 6 roundup and then we'll go into a few other games as well. So if you're still with us, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. And again, make sure you're adding us up on all the relevant platforms. Okay, Arsenal Palace.
Yes.
Talk to me, Vecky. Talk to me about initially Mustafi and why he decided. I couldn't work out what he was doing. I have an inkling though. I want your idea. I want your. Go into Mustafi's head. You know a little bit of German as well. So go into his head and tell me, what was he thinking?
I don't know. I'm going to be totally honest. Give me the
answer in German, please, as well.
Entschuldigung. Means sorry. Excuse me. I don't actually know. I assume you're referring to the Zaha finish, right?
Yeah, I am.
I watched this over and over and over, and I'm trying to put myself, like you said, in his mind and think what he's trying to achieve here. It's almost like I really think he underestimates Zaha's pace for one, but strength, because he tries to almost like shield, get in the way and sort of like put a protective shield around this area, but forgets that he's just a man of this size. And Zaha just goes, okay,
Zaha
I'll just go around him.
Strength and power. Yeah. Do you know what I think? And I watched it a few times, and there's a specific camera angle, people, if you watch it, where I think it's on Mustafi's inside the camera angle is where Mustafi is, the ball comes over. Now what Mustafi is trying to do is shield the ball. Now what he's got is a lack of bearings. He thinks that Leno is going to come and get that ball. But Leno never comes.
And
so he stops. Yeah, because he's miles away. He's lost his bearings completely. So Mustafi puts his body out like that to shield the ball. Zaha goes around him. Mustafi thinks he can go around me. Leno's going to get it anyway, not realising the gravity of the situation. So if you watch the end of the goal where Zaha puts it past him, Mustafi is looking at Leno like, where were you? What were you doing? Leno's looking at him like, bro, this is on you. This has nothing to do with me at all. It's 100% Mustafi's fault.
Yeah.
It shows a lack of awareness from him.
The situational judgment there is awful.
It's spatial awareness and it's a lack of judgment, and it's really poor from a centre half that has a point to prove.
I saw like a 2 to 3 minute compilation video on Twitter of Arsenal fans putting all his mistakes together, and one Arsenal fan actually commented saying, he's actually worse than Phil Jones. I didn't think I would be able to ever say
Is he worse than Phil Jones?
I think after I saw this video and I thought, fuck me.
Bro, you could put some Phil Jones bloopers together, right? And
I've seen them.
Tell you.
I've seen them.
Oh my God.
But this is right up there. This video. I'll have to reach you. I'll show it to you.
Yeah,
right?
please show it me.
And some mistakes he makes you think, oh, fuck, I forgot about that one. Oh, that was awful. That was so bad. But yeah, a massive error on his behalf. After, seeing the United result and watching that one, I was obviously very flat and very pissed off. But Arsenal, after I watched that game, or saw the result there, I thought,
we spoke.
They leave the door open on us.
Oh, they
still,
do. Look, we spoke in the last podcast about Arsenal and how tough their away fixtures were, and they went to Watford and they breezed it. So everybody was thinking, Palace at home, they'll probably pick up some points there. No one expected that. Absolutely no one.
Their home form had been very good.
It's been brilliant.
They beat Napoli 2-0 quite comfortably. They hadn't had a good away record. They hadn't kept a clean sheet away. They did that at Watford, albeit 10-man Watford did make that a little bit easier for them.
They did, yeah.
But they still got the clean sheet, got the job done. I didn't anticipate that they were going to fuck it up like this.
Well, they've still got the two toughies now, Wolves and Leicester. Leicester are really playing well. Especially at home, and
they honestly could lose both those games.
I would go as far as to say they'll get 2 points. But it's actually no, I think they'll get 3. I think they'll beat Wolves, but they'll lose against Leicester. Wolves really don't have.
I think Leicester beat them as well.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Leicester beat them, and I think Wolves draw.
Oh, you're going for 4 points. I think they'll get 3 points out of it. You going for 4?
No, I get 1.
Oh, right, okay, right.
I think Leicester beat them,
and Wolves draw.
I think Arsenal get a point.
Interesting. I'll go as high as 3.
Which would potentially allow United to sneak in there, but they've got Chelsea in that running as well and City. So a lot. It's just still.
Oh look, United aren't even in the question as far as I'm concerned.
But you know what it is though. They are still. Weirdly, they are.
No,
still
they are, but they aren't.
This
is what I was talking about right just now. I am at peace. Right, yeah. The fact that United can't do nothing, right? And it's the hope that kills you, right? And I can see that hope in your eyes when you said it then. You said it with such a glimmer of hope, like, yeah, but they could. They aren't going to do fuck
No, and
all.
I don't.
I need you to accept this.
I don't necessarily think that they will.
You must accept it.
But it says something for as bad as they are. They somehow 4 or 5 games left of the season. They can still mathematically do it.
Look. They're not going to.
They won't, no.
They're not going to. The top 4 now, I think, will end up being Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool, ManCity.
Could very well be.
In whatever order you want to put it in. But
a couple of stats.
Yeah, please hit me with some stats. We haven't had a lot of stats.
No, today, I thought we'd have a few here. Crystal Palace avoided defeat in both league meetings with Arsenal in a campaign for the first time since 1979.
Interesting.
Crystal Palace have now scored 29 away goals from home in the Premier League this season, which is their most in a single campaign in the competition.
Yeah.
Benteke.
Oh.
Christian.
Hey, Benteke, yeah.
Yeah. Made his 200th Premier League appearance in this match against Arsenal. He scored 46 goals in his first 100 games in the Premier League, but has netted just 24 in his second.
Didn't score for a year.
I know.
Got played onside by, I think it was Carl Jenkinson.
Mm-hmm.
Bagged, and the world is now a better place for him.
It is.
Happy
You can be at peace now.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Yeah. And Zaha last year scored 8 away goals for Crystal Palace in the Premier League this season, Only Harry Kane 11 and Vardy 10 have netted more.
Roy Hodgson said that Zaha's words were twisted because it's a loaded question. The journalist has asked him, do you think you could play at a bigger club? And obviously Zaha's not going to say no because he believes in his own ability, but it then makes it sound like Zaha is going to go. I've said it before, I think he'll go. I don't think there's any reason for him to stay at Palace anymore now.
He has to go.
Yeah.
He's getting to that point where he's coming up to the years where he needs to make a move.
I tweeted him off the VMV page and said Bayern is going to be the best option for him. I don't know if Bayern want him, but I mean, if his agent is earning his money, then put in a quick call. Wouldn't. Yeah. But yeah, Zaha I think will go. Wan-Bissaka again, bro, had an absolute storming performance.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
He is when we talk about the young player of the year in the Premier League, he probably won't win it, but he'll be very close. His performances, just going forward, he's okay, right? So he's no great shakes going forward. He's not going to get you. He's not Cafu, right? He's not going to give you assists and goals all the time. But defensive solidity, bro, this guy is unbelievable. And maybe it's because he's in a Crystal Palace team that Zaha aside isn't that expansive, and maybe that helps him. But he can only do his job.
Yeah,
and he's incredible.
I can't really criticise him. You asked me about Wan-Bissaka to United, and I was a little bit iffy about it.
Would you take him now over what's there?
Of course, at the moment, it would just be the only question mark for me is hoping that he could do it at United, at a bigger club on a big stage. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka playing the way he is trumps Ashley Young, or trumps Dalot or whoever playing wherever they are there. I can we can. I
like Dalot. I think he's a good player.
Yeah,
I think
just not yet.
Just not yet. He needs a bit of.
I'd be willing to take a gamble on Wan-Bissaka, whether he, like I say, will be able to do it on the stage as big as that with the expectations.
Yeah.
That we have, which are huge. Is another thing. But I'd be happy to take a punt on him.
I was going to say the United expectations now. I mean, my expectations are on the floor. So all I'm saying to United is, can you get a top 4 finish? Can Wan-Bissaka be a part as a team that gets a top 4 finish? I'd say so.
Yeah, we look at Robertson.
Robertson's a terrific signing.
Yeah, from Hull. So they kind of plucked him from nowhere, really. Same as Joe Gomez from Charlton. So it can happen.
Yeah, it does.
So it's not to say that how much would he cost?
Well, he's got an English tax on him now, isn't he? So your Palace will probably want minimum 30 million. Is he worth that?
Would pay that? Yeah, I would pay that now.
I would probably pay that actually as well. It'd be interesting to see in the summer because a lot of top English talents are going to be linked away with moves. You've got Sancho, Wan-Bissaka, Declan Rice, although Declan's he's Irish as far as I'm concerned. Hudson-Odoi, I don't know what his situation will be at Chelsea going into the final year of his contract. And there's a few others as well. Little sort of a lot of clubs will be.
But no, hats off to Palace. Because they're pretty much, you'd say, we think they're safe.
Oh, they're 100% safe.
But mathematically, they're getting close. I think Newcastle the same as well. So hats off to Palace.
Yeah, shout out to Palace, man. It's a great win. Arsenal, just to round off them very quickly, we'll do a transfer video for them at the end of the season and what they need and what they don't need. Do you think they'll get top 4 then? No?
It's a difficult one, that is, because they've been in pole position for quite some time now, but they can't seem to nail it down. Part of me thinks that they're going to blow it.
Yeah.
Whether it's Chelsea or even United at a push, perhaps not. But I don't think Arsenal are going to fill that full spot.
Yeah.
I
agree.
The last couple of games they've got, I think they're going to drop too many points.
Yeah, totally agree. With Chelsea, they're playing tonight. So we're filming this. Today is Monday, Easter Monday. Chelsea are playing tonight, so we haven't got any Chelsea games to cover. But going back to their sort of mini revival, so to speak, are you impressed with that? Can you still see Sarri being there? If they get in Champions League,
they're gonna have to win. I say they might not have to win it really, but I don't think impressed is the right word. They're doing what I think they should be doing with the side that they have.
Yeah, they're a talented side.
I'm impressed to the extent that it's nice to see Sarri sort of just go under the radar a little bit and get a bit more out of his side.
He's gone with Loftus-Cheek and Hudson-Odoi a lot more lately, and that's sort of won him some favours with the fans, and they put in great performances as well. Really good performances.
No, he's going about his job all right at the moment.
Yeah.
We said earlier on in the season it was too late to get rid. They've stuck with him. He's made a couple of changes. and it's sort of paying dividends at the moment. So they're still in a decent position. Chelsea, they could win the Europa League. It could come up against Arsenal. It could be Chelsea and Arsenal fighting for the 4th spot and the Europa League final. The way it's going.
Well, who would you pick in a Europa League final winner between Chelsea and Arsenal?
Chelsea.
You go Chelsea, would you? I would go Arsenal. I would go Arsenal. As much as I love to see Hazard win, I think Arsenal would have a little too much for them.
No,
that's my opinion. Under Emery, I think they would.
I think in a final, I would go Chelsea.
Really? It's interesting. It would be a great game if it happens. Imagine this. Set the scene now, right? You've got Liverpool Spurs in a Champions League final. And you've got Arsenal Chelsea in a Europa League final. And then you've got a North London derby in the Super Cup when Arsenal and Spurs go on and win. Oh, that would be mental.
There must be a weird scenario where
whoever polices that game, best of luck to them if that does happen.
It's got to be a weird scenario where I think I'd say like one of the sides needs to win the Europa League to qualify for the Champions League. Someone says something about a Premier League side. If a Premier League side won, someone like Liverpool won the Champions League. Was it Liverpool? Was it Spurs? I think maybe Spurs win the Champions League, but someone finishes outside the top 4, but they get in there because they've won the Champions League and only 5 sides can qualify. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you that now, actually. So let's realistically say Liverpool and Spurs, they're both going to finish inside probably the top 4, but they both win the League and Europa League respectively. That then doesn't free up 2 Champions League spaces. That only frees up 1.
Yeah.
Got you. So finishing 5th could be very beneficial because ultimately if Chelsea do go on and finish in the top 4 and win the Europa League, that they've already got a Champions League spot.
There's a way in which it can happen where all 6...
Which could be United's saving grace, potentially.
There's a way in which 6 English sides could qualify for the Champions League, but only 5 will go through.
Interesting. Again, let us know, people, your thoughts on that. I haven't read up on it, so I'm going entirely on what you're saying, but that sounds correct to a degree.
Yeah, there is a scenario, although very unlikely, that I think it's if something like if a team wins either the Europa League or the Premier League, but they finish the Europa League or the Champions League, but finish outside the top 4. For example, so say Spurs did fall at the top 4 because they're not too far away from the clubs at the moment, having lost again. Then their Champions League spot goes elsewhere or whatever. One team would miss out even though they technically would qualify. I'll get it back up and I'll...
Yeah. We got ample time to discuss it anyway, so it's all good. Just covering the other fixtures very quickly. We're not going to go over them all in depth because truth be told, people, there's no point.
No,
I don't really want to discuss Huddersfield on a good day. And I don't really want to discuss Fulham either. So, Bournemouth, they lost to Fulham. Unsurprisingly, we said Bournemouth have been a bit shit. Fulham, and they've found a little bit of form. Huddersfield, exactly.
Save it till too late,
Huddersfield, they lost 2-1 to Watford. De La Feo with an outrageous first goal. Incredible football player. West Ham 2-2 against Leicester. Good game, bit of a nothing game. They're both solidified in terms of what they're trying to do. Wolves Brighton, very surprised Wolves didn't win.
They should have,
could have, would have.
They had plenty of chances.
Brighton get a very, very valuable point.
Yes, massive point.
Just going back to Brighton, we won't as I say, go into depth in the game because a lot of these games, not a lot has really happened, and there's a lot of nothing games, which is why we'll predominantly cover the top 6 and everything else, and a small relegation battle towards the end of the season. Brighton or Cardiff, who's going down?
Cardiff.
Yeah, I agree totally. Yeah, all right, cool. We hit that nail on the head straight away.
Had Cardiff had a massive result and beat Liverpool this weekend.
You would have fancied them.
They would have fancied them. I think Brighton would have bottled it.
Yeah.
But I just think there's too much of a gap.
Cool. What is the gap now for the people that are watching?
It's 3 points, but I think Brighton got a game in hand. The game in hand is against Spurs away.
Okay.
So you don't expect Brighton to get that, get anything from there. So say City.
The goal difference is significant as well. So that's essentially 4 points.
Yeah. So say, for example, Spurs beat Brighton, which we expect them to do so. They played the same amount of games, and there's a 3 point gap. So it's not impossible, but they would essentially need then Brighton to lose in 2 of their last 3 games, and they need to win them.
Brighton minus 21 and Cardiff minus 35. Wow, that's a big difference, It
ain't coming down the goal difference.
No, 100% not. Yeah. No, totally not. Newcastle, big shout out to them. They're safe. Title winning form, actually, Newcastle since the turn of the year.
They have, yeah.
They've been superb. Southampton are probably safe as well, in fairness. They're not going down, are they?
No, I think They are sort of
they're in the mix, but they're not in the mix.
They need a lot to go wrong.
Yeah, they would have to be a perfect storm for Southampton to go down. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to Newcastle. As we spoke about Newcastle in the last episode, the whole Debenham situation. I don't know how Newcastle will be next season financially. I don't know what players they'll have. I don't know if Benitez will still be there.
A bit of Rafa genius again.
But fair play to Rafa, that was incredible work.
In a 38-game season, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does.
And he's gonna drag them now to near enough a mid-table finish again. When all seemed lost, especially at the start of the season. So massive hats off to Rafa Benitez.
Ayoze Perez with a great hat-trick as well. Yeah, superb.
He's my player of the weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say either Ayoze Perez or Deulofeu.
That was my other choice as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great minds think alike.
If you'd have got Perez in first.
See, I was the opposite. I was going if you say Deulofeu, I was going to go Perez and vice versa.
His hat-trick was superbly taken. Deulofeu's brace was very good as well.
Yeah.
First goal superb. Second goal, a bit fortunate, but you got to put him away.
Yeah, it's very true, yeah.
So yeah, both on pretty good form at the moment. So yeah, hats off to Newcastle. They're just doing bits now. I think they kind of know they're safe, so they're playing with a little bit more confidence and freedom as well now.
Yeah. I agree with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I concur. All right, we'll wrap it up there. I don't think there's any other games to cover. One actually, but a bit of interesting news. We were looking at this during the interval, and it's actually really random as fuck. But just give it to the people quick.
Off on a weird tangent, but before we go, Rafael Van der Vaart, remember him? When he was doing bits
Spurs,
in the Premier League.
Ajax, Real Madrid as well.
Indeed, Real Madrid. Rafael Van der Vaart is set to swap his football boots for a set of arrows, as the former Spurs and Madrid midfielder makes his professional darts debut at 2 BDO events in Denmark.
That's class.
Was it the British Darts Organisation it stands for? It is one down from the PDC, but that's professional darts, so he's going to be trying his hand at professional darts.
Fair play to him. Fair play. I mean, you're a long time retired, they say, right? So he's probably got an awful lot of money and very little to do. So I imagine he can practice darts quite a bit.
It doesn't take much physical prowess, does it really?
Well, they love. Again, I'm not a massive darts person, but they love darts in Holland as well.
Van der Vaart, Van Gerwen.
Van Gerwen's a guy in the
Van Barneveld.
Yeah.
Raphael, we wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, we do. If he's watching, we do wish you all the best. All right. Yeah, we will finish it there. Make sure you tune in next week. We'll be back again, minus any potential breaks or holidays or anything that comes up. I don't have anything planned. I don't know about you. You're all good? Passport's back in the drawer, yeah? All right, good. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, we'll round it up there. Make sure you add us up on Twitter and IG. If you've got any questions for us next week as well, feel free to throw them in. We'll be happy to answer them. We'll be back, I'd say it'll be next, this one's coming out a little bit earlier because of Easter Monday, but we'll be back next Wednesday with next week's podcast. So, stay tuned. Take care, people. Till next time. Ciao.